So, having said that, our first public hearing is P23-0284, the smoke shop. Mr. Winters, I believe the staff report is yours.
Actually, the report will be mine, Chair Rossler. I'm sitting up here.
right.
Sorry. We're playing musical chairs tonight. So the item before you is PH1, as you mentioned, is P23-0284. It's a smoke shop off the charts, SS Vista LLC. My name is Patsy Chow. I'm the Acting Director of Community Development, City Planner, to present this item before you tonight. So the proposed project is a special use permit. It's an amendment, a modification for a smoke shop that's proposing an existing commercial building at 1745 East Vista Way, Suites 3-4. A little bit background as to why this is a special use permit amendment or modification to a previously approved special use permit, just to put everybody on the same page here, is originally they came in for the proposed smoke shop for the special use permit at the same location at 1745 East Vista Way, Suites 3-5, which was reviewed, it was approved by the Planning Commission back in February of this year. An appeal of the Planning Commission was actually later filed on March 2nd. The City Council heard the item through the appeal hearing process on April the 11th. They approved the smoke shop with particular conditions of approval on April the 11th. At that meeting, the first condition was such that the applicant would submit conceptual construction level documents, plans for city staff to review, as far as showing a dedicated entrance and a dedicated exit driveway, right turn only off of East Vista Way, to the satisfaction of the city planner and the city engineer. The second condition that was imposed on the project by the City Council was that the applicant would conduct litter abatement at the subject property and surrounding areas on a regular basis so that it be kept clean and clear of any trash at all times. The third condition was that the applicant shall make available at the smoke shop pamphlets, educational materials discussing the health risks associated with tobacco use. The reason for the special use permit amendment or the modifications to the special use permit is that subsequent to the City Council's decision to approve the project with the three conditions that I've just reviewed in the previous slide, the applicant was informed the city that the actual property owner was not in agreement with adding of the condition regarding the dedicated driveways for entrance and for exit. And therefore, the applicant requested that the put in an amendment to actually remove the subject condition of approval regarding these driveways. At the same time, through the special use permit amendment, this modification request is that the smoke shop floor area has actually been modified slightly and actually been removing one of the prior suites, or suite number 5, and therefore you have suites 3 and 4 going from a square footage of 2,300 square feet approximately to about 1,500 square feet. So basically diminishing the size of the overall smoke shop. The rest is the same as far as the parking spaces required, 26 required spaces where 32 are existing within the subject parcel. It's no different. And the hours of operation, to my knowledge, is still 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Sunday. And the sale of the items that are covered under definition of a smoke shop and other retail goods as far as smoking related products all still apply the same, so nothing has changed with regards to that. There's no sales of alcoholic beverages at the proposed smoke shop, so that still remains a fact. The zone is C1, which is a basic commercial zone. The designation per the general plan is general commercial, GC, and it's surrounded by commercial uses to the north, south, and across the street, as shown on this slide. Just the depiction of the subject project site as it exists today. And the site plan identifying the smaller footprint floor area for the proposed smoke shop, and then the red arrows identifying approximately the location where the smoke shop would be located next to the existing cannabis store that's operated by the same operator off the charts. The floor plan here shows the smaller footprint with the products that would be kept in either glass display areas or cases on racks that are behind the front counter, and all obviously would only be accessible by the authorized personnel working at the store. From an environmental review perspective, the project is actually categorically exempt from requirements to prepare an environmental document. So staff looked at it for infill development project and meeting the infill conditions of Class 32 exemptions related to being consistent with the applicable designations in the general plan and the zoning ordinance, developed within city limits on a site that's no more than 5 acres. The project site does not contain habitat for endangered, rare, or threatened species. It is a developed site, as we all know it. The approval of the project would not result as far as significant effects as we talk about noise, traffic, air quality, water quality, and it can be the site adequately served by all required public utilities and services. The general plan, as far as the special use permit approval and adherence to all the conditions of approval, with that, the project would conform to the policies of the general plan. And as far as the development code is concerned, the approval of the special use permit for establishing the smoke shop and the findings for such special use permit are included in the resolution of the special use permit. There is one condition, obviously, or the understanding that the smoke shop will not be located within 1,000 feet of a public or private elementary or secondary school, and there is no private or public elementary or secondary school within 1,000 feet of the project site. With that, the recommendations for the adoption of the resolution, that would be granting the modifications to the special use permit for the smoke shop at 1745 East Vista Way, Suites 3 to 4. This concludes staff's presentation. Available for any questions you may have. The applicant is in the audience, however, he does not, or they do not have a formal presentation. They have put in a speaker's lip in case the Planning Commission has any questions for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Chow. Any question of staff or the applicant? Commissioner Looney.
Thank you. Patsy, what was it on the application that prompted council to request a dedicated entrance?
The concern that they saw with the existing cannabis store is the traffic coming in and out of that particular site. And because of the amount of traffic, the movement that's going in and out, they thought that it would be a good idea at the time to actually provide a dedicated entrance and a dedicated exit to allow for better circulation on the site. That was the intent.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Savage.
Yeah, we discussed, I think there was some public concern about the violations regarding that, the trash item. And I just wondered if you had done any investigation into if there has been a code enforcement violation yet?
So I looked at code enforcement staff to actually find out if there had been any recent complaints. There have been in the past about unpermitted signage that have been actually cured. They have removed unpermitted signage from the site once they've been made aware from code enforcement. There has been some concerns raised about the food caterer actually setting up a business in the parking lot, which they also were made aware of, that was actually operating without a business license and was actually cited for a violation. But as far as the trash and litter abatement or trash-related, there were no specific items that were actually put in as far as a code code violation request.
Okay, yeah, so just we've been made aware. We're not doing comments yet, we're waiting for public comment, right? So we should wait for, that was the only question, but we should wait for comments, right? Yeah? Yeah, cool, that's it for me.
All right. Any other questions of staff or the applicant? I will open the public hearing, and the first speakers are Sherry Spears and Austin Perez. Followed by Roy Yosef. Pull the mic close to you. Pull the microphone close to you.
My name is Agustin Perez.
There we go.
Cherry Spears, my partner, and we're here concerning the litter of the business that we're talking about. And it's been a problem since this business opened up. I have been taking care all the trash that they're dumped over on 1725 on our business, and therefore we would like to have something done about it.
Okay, very good.
I agree with him.
Okay. All right.
I do have trash here that I pick up daily,
All right.
daily. And
This is, as I understand it, as it's been explained to me, this is a code enforcement issue. And so if you haven't already, if you'll file a complaint with code enforcement, they'll have one of the city inspectors go out, check it out, and then they'll issue a citation or a correction notice to keep the trash picked up. And that'll be how it'll be handled.
okay, okay, we'll do that.
All right,
Thank you.
very good. Roy Yosef? Okay, all right. And Sean Maddox? You're, okay, very good. All right, anyone else wishing to address the commission on this item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and open it up to discussion amongst the commissioners. Commissioner Savage?
Yeah, my only comment was it seems that the applicant has been made aware of the trash issue. And so I'd like to just make a recommendation, nothing binding, to code enforcement that if a warning hasn't been issued, which it sounds like it hasn't, that that the next violation be come with a fee, come with a fine. But that would be my main point. So I don't know if we can get that on the record or just communicated to code enforcement, but.
That is something that we can certainly ask code enforcement, or if the complainants or the folks that are concerned about the trash would reach out to code enforcement to actually fill out the request. As far as attaching a dollar or fee to the first one, which would be a notice of violation, it would not be a straight citation. That would be something that code enforcement will have to explore on that one, as far as how that ruling would come in.
Yeah, just a recommendation, yeah.
All right. Any other comments? Would someone like to make a motion? Commissioner Savage?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution per staff recommendation.
Very good. We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Commissioner Looney seconds it. Please cast your vote. And the motion passes 3-1 with Chairman Rossler voting no. All right. That concludes that item. The next item on our agenda is the general plan amendment to correct the circulation element. Ms. Guy, would you remind us what our voting obligations are under this amendment?
Thank you, Chairman Rossler. For both public hearing 2 and actually public hearing 3, because they involve amendments to the general plan, per Government Code Section 65354, a recommendation for approval must be made by an affirmative vote of not less than a majority of the total membership of the commission. So that'll be 4 votes.
Very good. Mr. Winters, your staff report, please.
Thank you, Chairman Rossler, members of the commission, and the public. Chris Winters, Senior Planner, City of Vista. As stated in the brief staff report, it recently came to staff's attention that a graphical error was depicted on the current Vista General Plan 2030 circulation element map exhibit. The roadway segment of South Emerald Drive, Sunset Drive, between Hacienda Drive and Skyhaven Lane was planned to be designated as a 2-lane collector with a 2-way left turn lane. However, a graphical error occurred in the map production that represented this segment as a larger roadway as a 4-way major. So staff subsequently reviewed existing roadway conditions, further verified by going back and looking at the data that was analyzed with the original development of the last general plan update, and verified and concluded that there was an error simply on the map exhibit. So staff's recommendation to the Planning Commission is to recommend that the City Council approve an amendment to the Vista General Plan 2030 circulation element map that would revise the depiction of that street segment to correctly identify it as a two-lane collector with a two-way left turn lane. That amendment is exempt under CEQA because the proposed amendment is a correction to a graphical error in the map exhibit. There's no possibility that that activity or that correction would have any significant effect on the environment. That concludes my report.
Very good. Any questions of staff? None? I will open the public hearing on the general plan amendment for the circulation element amendment for Sunset. I don't believe I have any speaker slips. Seeing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up to commissioner discussion. Mr. Winters, I had one question for you. Sorry about that. Is on-street parking allowed under the new amendment for a two-lane collector?
It would primarily depend on existing roadway conditions. It's not disallowed. Some roadway segments would have sufficient width, some would not, whether or not they had that particular designation.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Commissioner Grimm?
It doesn't appear to be any discussion, so I would move staff recommendation.
All right, is there a second? Commissioner Savage?
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve staff's recommendation for the recommendation to the City Council on the circulation element amendment. Please cast your vote. And the motion passes unanimously, 4-0 of all the commissioners here. Very good. All right. Moving on to the main event tonight. The next public hearing is public hearing on the Sunset Drive townhomes. And Mr. Winters, I believe the staff report's yours.
Thank you again, Chairman Rossler. This project title, it is a general plan amendment, zone change, tentative subdivision map, site development plan, and condominium housing permit to allow for the construction of 38 condominium residences and associated site improvements on a 4.3-acre site located at 2112 Sunset Drive, planning case P220182. As mentioned, it's a proposal to develop 38 attached condominium townhomes located at 2112 Sunset Drive. The project site itself consists of 3 parcels located on the west side of Sunset Drive, south of Buena Vista Creek and north of Skyhaven Lane. The site is mostly vacant except for an uninhabited residence and accessory buildings, which include a garage and a workshop. The site is bisected by the driveway that goes into the Green Valley mobile home community. Proposed site improvements, quickly summarized here, the project would involve the construction of 2-story townhomes in 10 separate buildings with 2-car garages and private patios. 2 driveways from Sunset Drive would connect to the internal roadways for access to the project, plus there would be 1 additional driveway gated for emergency access only. Approximately 1 acre of landscaping would be involved in development of the project out of the 4.3 acres. The project would also include active and passive outdoor amenities, such as 2 outdoor dining areas with fire pits, reading nooks, a tot lot, passive lawn play area, a cornhole play area. This would be in compliance with the project providing a minimum of 2 amenities as designated under the city's multifamily design guidelines. This aerial image shows the project site and surrounding land uses. The project site is, as I mentioned, bisected by the driveway to the Green Valley Mobile Home Park. On the other side of Sunset Drive, there is the Santiago Mobile Home Park. To the north, on the other side of Buena Vista Creek, there is retail, commercial, service uses. And to the south is the City of Vista boundary adjacent to Oceanside. This slide shows the proposed general plan amendment and the proposed zone change for the northern 2 parcels that are part of the project site. The existing general plan designation and zoning designations are shown on the top 2 images in this display. So the existing general plan designation for those top 2 parcels that are part of the project site is general commercial. The zoning designation that corresponds with that is C1 commercial. The proposed general plan amendment is to change the land use designation to medium density residential, which allows up to 10 dwelling units per acre. And the proposed zone change that would correspond with that is RM10, which is multifamily residential, that likewise would allow no more than 10 dwelling units per acre. This is a site plan for this proposed project. On the northern portion of the site where the general plan amendment and zone change are proposed consists of approximately 3.1 acres. There would be 7 buildings containing 24 townhomes. That would consist of 3 fourplex attached units and 4 threeplex buildings. On the southern portion of the project site, shown to the right of the slide, which is 1.2 acres, there's 3 buildings proposed, 2 fiveplexes and 1 fourplex. The arrows on the light blue text point to the project entrances to either side of the project site. This is a landscape plan for the proposed project. As I mentioned, landscaping would cover approximately 1 acre, a little less, of the entire project site. The project would involve planting of 114 trees on site. There would be an additional 37,000 square feet of natural open space, which would remain undisturbed within the Buena Vista Creek area. The project has been designed to avoid development within the creek area. And the project includes decorative paving at the project entrances. The gated emergency access would be the further most driveway towards the right-hand side of the slide, and that would be gated, as I mentioned. Outdoor amenities that I mentioned briefly earlier are basically fronting towards the front of the project site, away from the mobile home park, which consist of, for the most part, passive use areas, reading nooks with seating. There is a tot lot area with bench seating surrounding that, picnic tables, bench seating in a number of areas, a cornhole play area. This slide depicts the northern portion of the project site. The southern portion is very similar. The southern portion also features a dining lounge with a shade structure, barbecue areas, fire pit, and so on, as well as is depicted on the north side. Frontage improvements for the project are shown in this conceptual exhibit, as the project will be conditioned to improve the roadway fronting the project. This improvement includes widening of the roadway and striping for the 2-way left turn lane. That would allow traffic not to be impeded when a vehicle is making a left turn in either direction, with cars backing up behind it. The project would also be required to install 2 speed feedback signs in either direction at either ends, basically, of the project site, whether traffic is going northbound or southbound. Those are the type of signs that flash the driving speed at drivers as they're passing by the sign, so that they know if they're exceeding the speed limit. Other improvements would include curb gutter sidewalk, a bicycle lane on the project side of the street, and the sidewalk would connect to the existing sidewalk that's north of the project site. Regarding the townhome structures, the project would be developed with an average density of approximately 9 units per acre. That's 8 units per acre on the northern portion of the site and 12 units per acre on the southern portion of the site. The project includes 4 different floor plans, with sizes ranging from 1,440 square feet to 1,780 square feet. The project includes 14 2-bedroom units and 24 3-bedroom units. On the first floor of the units, there is a 2-car enclosed garage for every townhome kitchen, living, and dining areas, and a half bath. On the second floor, there are 2 or 3 bedrooms, full bathrooms, washer and dryer hookups. Additionally, 30 units would include a loft area on the second floor that's designed for use as an upstairs living room. These are the floor plans for Plan Type 1 and Plan Type 2, showing what was already described. The unit under Plan Type 1 has 2 bedrooms, family room, kitchen, and so on the bottom floor. And I'm sorry, I misspoke there. You have the 2-car garage shown on the bottom floor with the living, dining room, and kitchen area, 2 bedrooms located upstairs. There is the family room at the lower right, which has an open wall area so that it is not identified or utilized as a bedroom, but it is intended to be used as an upstairs den. Plan 2 is very similar, except it has 3 bedrooms in the upstairs area. Plans 3 and 4 are on this slide. If the commissioners have any questions during the discussion segment, we could go back to the floor plans. These are the elevations for the triplex buildings. Everything is done in a Spanish style of architecture with concrete S-tile roofing, wrought iron features on the walls and around the window areas. There's faux Juliet balconies, decorative gable accents, wood look garage doors, and various other features to give it that Spanish architectural style. The next slide shows the fourplex building with the similar features. There is a different white stucco used on in this illustration. There's 3 overall colors proposed, and there's a light brown color that is shown on this slide. And this slide depicts the 5-plex units, which there are 2 buildings that would be in this design. Regarding project parking, 14 2-bedroom units require 2.5 parking spaces per unit, which is 35 total. Added that to 24 3-bedroom units, which require 3 parking spaces per unit for 72 total spaces. And the total required for the overall project is 107 spaces. The project provides a total of 110 spaces. 76 of those are the garage, 2-car garages, and there's 34 open guest spaces. Of the guest spaces, 14 of those are located on the southern portion of the project site, or actually that's 10, and 24 are located on the northern portion of the project site. Under public policy, general plan conformance, the southern portion of the project site is currently designated as medium-high density residential by the Vista General Plan. It does allow currently 15 dwelling units per acre. Since this portion of the site is approximately 1.2 acres, the construction of 14 townhomes would result in a density of approximately 12 units per acre. That would be consistent with the existing MHD land use designation. The northern portion of the site is currently designated as general commercial. Since this portion of the site is 3.1 acres, construction of 24 townhomes would result in a density of approximately 8 units per acre, which would be consistent with the medium density residential land use designation. Therefore, upon approval of the general plan amendment, the proposed project density, inclusive of both north and south portions of the project, would conform to the general plan. Under zoning conformance, the zoning portion, the southern portion of the project site is currently RM15, consistent with the general plan designation. No zone changes proposed. As conditioned, the project would comply with the minimum development standards required for that zone. The northern portion of the site has a corresponding zone change with the general plan amendment from C1 commercial to residential multifamily with 10 units per acre to accommodate the proposed development. On approval of the zone change, the project, both halves, would meet or exceed the minimum development standards. For the environmental review, a mitigated negative declaration was prepared for the proposed project in accordance with CEQA. The study determined that the project would not result in any unmitigated significant environmental impacts. The MND was circulated for public review between June 29th and July 28th of this year. 11 comment letters were received with comments pertaining to traffic, open space, construction concerns, and project compatibility with the adjacent land uses. All comment letters and responses to comments are included in the MND. The project will be required to comply with the mitigation measures specified in the MND and included with the project's mitigation monitoring and reporting program. These mitigation measures related to biological resources, cultural resources, geology and soils, hazards and hazardous materials, and noise are also included in the project's conditions of approval. Staff's recommendation is that the Planning Commission would adopt a resolution recommending City Council approval of the mitigated negative declaration with the mitigation monitoring and reporting program for the Sunset Drive Townhomes project, as well as adopting a resolution recommending City Council approval of the general plan amendment, zone change, tentative subdivision map, site development plan, and condominium housing permit to allow for the construction of the 38 townhomes at 2112 Sunset Drive. That concludes staff's presentation. The applicant is also here and has a brief presentation as well, and we are open to any questions.
Okay, any questions for staff, or should we hear from the applicant? Applicant? Okay, let's hear from the applicant, please.
Good evening. I'm pleased to be here. My name's David Pinto. I'm with Legacy Partners. Legacy Partners is a 50-year-old company. We started out on the West Coast. We now have a national footprint, and we're vertically integrated. We develop and manage. We currently manage 11,000 residential units. I'd like to thank staff for their hard work and straightforward feedback throughout the process. And Mr. Winters did a great presentation here, so I can cut my presentation pretty short. But I think working with staff, planning, and various other departments has made for a better project, and it was a pleasure working with them. The project location, Mr. Winters went through that. I'd like to, really focus on that last bullet. We've been at this for quite a while, and this site is unique in that it has a lot of site-related development costs that we've uncovered throughout the last 2 years that any developer would, any development that would go on this site would need to be addressed. And so I just want to kind of briefly highlight those. A site characteristic, it's vacant today, and it's been riddled with homeless issues that we learned from the community and from the landowner. There's significant utility relocations. There's a cable line and a sewer relocation on the site on the northern parcel. There's undergrounding of the distribution lines that cross over Emerald and Sunset. It's required by city ordinance. The biological mitigation, so early on we worked with DUDAC we produced a bunch of different CEQA reports, but one being a biological study. They identified some sensitive habitat. It's small in nature, but we have to mitigate that off-site. We located a bank, but also working with the setback from the top of bank. They wanted an additional 10 feet than what cities required. So it's 35 feet today, which shifted the site plan. New storm drain runs from the southern portion all the way up Emerald. Significant right-of-way improvements. We work with land development and transportation on coming up with a prudent redevelopment of the off-sites, and really that striping plan that I can touch upon that we'll get into related to traffic. Let's see. Oh, and Buena Creek, and I did talk about that. So let's see. I'll briefly go over a project timeline. We've been at this for over 2 years. We started with a pre-application submittal, just site plan, 64 units, 3-story townhomes. Submitted that in requesting a pre-app. We met with planning and various different departments, and they gave us their feedback, mostly development standard related, how that related to the existing standards and how it did not. So we reduced that down to 55 units, and we submitted for the pre-screen with City Council. That resulted in, guys, this is too much density here, too tall. We heard from the community. We went back to the drawing boards, and we held a community meeting at City Hall, one of these rooms up here, going over these plans, really showing the generation, the first site plan, second site plan, third site plan, new elevations. We dropped the height and the density, trying to fit within the envelope of the community. We went back to a second pre-screen and got favorable recommendation to move forward with our application, and then held another community meeting at a local hotel and reviewed what we were going to submit to the city as an application. Chris did a good job going over the site plan, 4 different plans, range of square footages, 2 and 3 bedrooms. We do exceed parking standards barely, and we do exceed open space requirements, common and private. Here's just the renderings, some attractive Spanish architecture. It's 20 feet to the eaves and about additional 10 feet to the pitch of the roof. We can play with that height. It is worth noting that in the C1 zoning on the northern parcel, that allows up to 35 feet. Here's some renderings. It's not 100% to scale. Our landscape architect did his best, but we were pleased with this image. And really what this shows is how that street, it's currently a 2-lane with no improvements. It's just raw land, where we've added the yield lane, restriped, added a bike lane, new curb, gutter, sidewalk, and a nice landscape setback. Here's the northern parcel entrance. So biggest part of this was trying to accommodate the community's feedback and concerns. We held the 2 community meetings, about 15 attendees per meeting. These bullets were the common theme of the feedback. So we went to work and trying to address each one of those to the best that we could. Traffic being the most important. So that I'll touch on that last. Homeless, there's been history here that people have lived on site, lived in that home, have destroyed that home. They even had gardens back there, and the landowner has had to move them off the property a lot of times. I think some of those folks have meandered into Green Valley community that was expressed to us during one of the community meetings. So I think adding housing and removing the blight will eliminate, hopefully, a lot of those issues. The condition of the wall along on our property line on the western edge between Green Valley and our property, a lot of there's been issues with that wall falling over. There's a tree growing through it. And the current landowner has had to deal with that, working with the property manager, Bruce. But we are intending to replace that wall. Water runoff and flooding across the street. There's no collection of water, so when during a heavy rain, it runs through that through Sunset and Emerald, and so part of our plan, we have stormwater quality. We're going to capture the water, clean the water, get it off site. We are partially in the flood zone, so we have to go through a Clomer process, raise out of the elevation, so get out of the flood zone, and then collect all the water in the street will go into inlets and gutters. There was a landslide on Skyhaven, so our geotech engineer investigated that further. That was back in March 2023, I believe, when the slide occurred, and went down into one of the residents' backyards in the Green Valley community. And so we did some investigations as to what happened and how our project would exacerbate if any that landslide, and the findings were that our project would not have anything negative effect on any adjacent properties. And so traffic safety. So speed of travel, LLG is our traffic engineer. We've used them on lots of different projects throughout Southern California and lots of different cities. They do a great job. I think they were out there 3 different days during school while schools were running. And there is a southbound traffic. The 85 percentile travels 10% over the speed limit. And in northbound traffic coming down Sunset and into Emerald towards the freeway, that's 23% over the speed limit. So there's some speed going on there. So we worked with staff and transportation, trying to come up with a solution. Our project did not garner any conditions, but we elected to add these signs, slowing signs that tell you how fast you're going, and they start blinking if you're over the speed limit. That we believe will help. Safety, egress out of the community. So there's the driveway to the west, the Santiago, to the east of Santiago, Green Valley's to the west, and our project. And so they expressed their concerns of getting out into the 2-lane highway, and we came up with the yield lane, so they can cross, yield in the middle lane and wait for their turn to go, reducing their queues out of their driveways. And then just the more traffic, our project is going to add more traffic. It is. It's vacant today. There is no traffic. I think it's 304 average daily trips that our project produces. And if you break that over a 12-hour day, that's 25 cars per hour, and that's a car per every 2 minutes. So on the northern parcel, by right today, the office, I have the stats on the screen, but it's a lot of average daily trips that one could build office. I don't think one would build office today, but versus our proposed 24 units, so substantially different. And then the southern parcel, there is the existing zoning, the RM15. We are building less than the allowed density there by 4 units. And just, we like to do this on our project to see how we are satisfying city's goals. And so land use, housing elements, and city goals 2022 through 24. There's a few that, the land use 5, complete street designs, complements land uses, and number 6, redevelop underutilized properties. Under the housing element, I like goal number 3, increases home ownership opportunities. And under city council goals, homelessness and housing, public safety, we kind of talked about that. Fiscal responsibility, we increase the property tax base here. The next 2 is really related to the current building codes are getting very onerous on the developer with Title 24 and going way green. So economic development, homeowners will shop in the city. And I think on traffic, we are going to improve those roads and sidewalks. And just lastly, the project benefits. So traffic impact reduction over by right zoning, by rezoning it to the 24 units up there. Traffic safety, that left-hand turning yield lane, I believe will help, and the traffic calming speed feedback signs. Right-of-way improvements are significant. We are conditioned to do something from Fish and Wildlife. The conditions were by mitigation off-site or replant on-site, and we're doing both. Attainable housing, this is a great opportunity for first-time home buyers. We did a study along the 78 corridor that there was, back in May, there was 225 new homes available along the 78 corridor, which is like one of the all-time lows. So we will add to the new housing stock out there. Residential land use, it's the same as our neighbors to the east and the west. And I was looking at the map in the western area of the city. Almost every property south of Buena Creek is zoned residential. And this particular northern piece still has a commercial zone, which I thought was interesting. Safety, I think we believe more eyes on the area will provide more safety. Eliminating runoff and flooding, the new wall with our neighbors at Green Valley, undergrounding distribution lines, so alleviates some of the, just it's a more pleasant drive and increasing that property tax base. I'm here for questions. Thank you for your time.
Very good. And I take it that your team is here from Dudek, SWS, and Foreman,
Yes, sir.
and Linscott Law and Greenspan? Okay, very good. Questions for the applicant or staff? Commissioner Grimm.
I had one for the applicant and one for staff. You'd indicated that you lease a lot of units. You guys keep your units. I'm assuming you're doing that here, so you will not be selling them?
We'd be selling these homes.
Oh, okay. Okay, very good. Question for staff would be that if I bought one of the Plan 1 two-bedroom plus the loft plan, what would be my odds of being able to convert that loft to a bedroom?
Under the project conditions of approval, we check at the building plan construction drawing set that it complies with what the Planning Commission saw. After construction, if someone went in and was to add a wall and a door, that would obviously be done illegally.
Okay, so you would not be issuing any permits for that?
That's
somebody- if
correct. We
somebody-
would not issue permits for that. The project is conditioned to comply with what the Planning Commission, or in this case, the City Council ultimately might approve.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Ask the applicant how he's going to assure that in the CCNRs.
I'll take that question. That's a
Okay.
good one. Did you hear the question?
I did. I
How are
heard
you going
CCNRs.
to, address that in your CCNRs to prevent anybody from converting those lofts? Because obviously the implication there is that if you count up the number of lofts and you had a number of conversions there, all of a sudden you don't have enough parking.
Understood.
That's our concern.
Understood. That floor plan, what we found post-COVID is a lot of people work from home. So I believe, we like that plan because a lot of people would use that as a home office. And then small families with a child getting older, they want a little space and privacy. And that's kind of the secondary living room that they can go watch their own show or whatever. Mom and dad are downstairs. So, but I think if you guys wanted to condition us, or we could write that in the CCNRs, that would be fine.
Very good. Okay. Thank you. That's it. Commissioner Looney.
On that same note, I would want this Plan 1 designated as a 4-bedroom. Because if I own the unit, I'm not going to get a permit from the city. It's going to take me a weekend to build that. So this, in my perspective, needs to be designated as a 4-bedroom unit, and the parking needs to be adjusted for that.
And then parked accordingly?
Correct.
Okay.
So,
All right.
a couple of other questions. We've got some overhead power lines that go through that northern property. Are those being underground, or are those going to be remaining overhead?
There's the transmission lines stay. The distribution lines are underground.
Okay, thank you. Staff, 2 questions. It appears that the buildings are encroaching into the front yard setback. According to the lines on the site plan, the ones along Emerald and Sunset encroach. So I wanted to get the clarification on that. It's shown on sheet 1 of 5, and then you can also see it on sheet 2 of 5 and then sheet 3 of 5. Unless these lines are referring to something different.
Thank you, Commissioner. I know that we recently rechecked all of the setbacks and everything appeared to be in compliance, so.
Because there's no indication on the drawings as to what the lines are, but the way that they're drawn, parallel to the property lines, it appears that they're setback lines.
Yeah, I see what you're looking at there. I'm not sure what that line is.
Probably one of the easiest place to look is on sheet 2.
Commissioner Looney, I think the applicants wanted to.
We
Okay.
have our civil engineer here, maybe.
I think we need to put the conversation on record. I'm sorry. If you can actually speak into the microphone and
sorry about
state your name. Thank you.
Mike Schweitzer, SWS Engineering. The line he's referring to is the setback from the old right-of-way prior to the street vacation, which narrows the road.
Okay. Then one last question of staff. Did engineering look at the possibility of relocating the entrance to the southern parcel further away from the entrance to the mobile home park?
Yes, maybe switching him.
Not to my awareness, did that come up in any of the design review comments or discussion?
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Commissioner Savage?
Yeah, so my first question is for staff. I know there's a couple inconsistencies between different drawings for now. My only concern is that on the tentative subdivision map, the west wall is designated as either a fence or a wall. Is that one of those corrections that was made?
The walls are basically conditioned that any final materials or colors and height and everything has to be submitted to the planning division and be approved by the city planner or designated staff for their final design. Wood fencing would not be accepted for the project, if that's what the question.
Yeah, making sure. I know it's privacy, so it has to be something that's wood block, but making sure it's
Not precision block, that's correct, decorative.
well, and yeah, that it will be
split face.
cool. Yeah, simple.
Potentially vinyl fencing, depending on the location, has been
Okay.
a new popular addition.
Yeah, that would. I don't know if that's something. Maybe we make a recommendation. That's more for comment, but maybe just to make sure it's blocked. But we'll talk about that later. And one question for the applicant. We did receive a letter from Stephen Harvey that was concerned about the driveway into the mobile home park and the construction. I believe you guys are doing sidewalks, ADA ramps, and it seems like you're doing curbs onto that street. Am I correct in that?
I don't believe we are going into their driveway.
Okay. So it kind of just that concrete's going to end at that ADA ramp?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, my suggestion, has there been any discussion with contractors if you guys are going to be taking care of both those at the same time?
The site would be both northern and southern parcel would be graded at the same time.
Okay. I think the rest of it's probably for commissioner comments, so
Okay.
thank you.
Any other questions of staff or the applicant? Commissioner Looney?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Staff, what are the setbacks for the properties?
20 feet from the street in the front, 15 feet would be their side setbacks, which basically is around the project perimeter other than the front. Consistent, it's the same as the rear setback.
Of 20 feet?
I believe so, correct.
Okay. Building 24 is 12 feet from the property line. Building 17 is 17 feet from the property line. Building 10 is just under 17 feet from the property line.
In the exhibit that's on display now, I believe we're showing a minimum 20-foot setback to unit number 3, which is closest to the front property line.
The rear is 5 feet? I thought he said,
The one to the mobile home on the west, that's 5 feet, right?
I'm talking this right here.
Yeah, right.
We did have one setback that is, I believe, unit 24 that needed to be corrected. There was an inconsistency on a couple of the plan sheets. On the exhibit that's currently shown, it shows 11 feet 8.8 or 11 feet 8 inches, and that needs to be adjusted to 15 feet. That is one setback issue that we're aware of.
Oh, that's 15.
Okay. Thank you. There's a lot of lines on the civil drawings, and if they could have been more clearly designated, it would have been very helpful. Thank you.
Along that line, on the cross-sections that we got, the sections didn't show up in the grid section. So when you go on to the council, you might want to revisit that and make sure that the elevations show up, at least on the set of plans I got.
Okay. There's sections through both sites. They did not show up?
Nope.
Okay.
So, if that does it for our questions, thank you very much, Mr. Pinto. I'm sure you'll be back. We'll open the public hearing, and the first speaker is Steve Harvey, followed by Joe Frischman. Mr. Harvey, you have 3 minutes.
Before I start my 3 minutes, you guys have a copy of this?
Yes.
I brought one for you.
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned it, John. Thank you for mentioning it. I'm just going to highlight it. It's too long to read from 3 minutes. Thank you for your presentation for the developer, but it's highly inaccurate. They don't live where we live, and they don't understand what's going on. And I hope you guys have all been out there to look at what's going on. The topography, using that map alone, makes everything look flat. It's not. On both sides of this project are hills that increase the speed of traffic immensely. And that's a big consideration that isn't mentioned in any of this, any of the renderings on the site. It all looks pretty, looks great, but it's not accurate. Addressing my letter, I'll just briefly highlight a couple things that I need you to understand. We, the residents in the park, pay taxes to you. Green Valley's residents are all paying approximately $57.32 a month in our pass-through fees, and Rutherford Investments gets credit for it. But this is a document that we all get. It's a legal document that they issue us in July. So that'll validate the fact that we are the ones paying taxes, and that should make our voices count more than just a bunch of old people living in a mobile home park. Number two, in the city's statement, there's really, and in their statement, there's no comment to the human impact that this project's going to have. It's all about buildings and how much nicer the road will be, and it looks pretty, but it's going to have a major impact on the residents, many of which have lived there a long time. And they moved into a 55-plus park for some serenity, And this isn't going to create serenity for them. We have no way to block off our entrance. If you look at that, it says not a part of the project. There's no gate there, not that a gate's going to make a difference. There's no place for these people to have fun and play. They're going to have adult kids that don't go to the tot lot, and they're going to want to come into our park and skateboard, ride bikes, and do all those kinds of things because they're kids. But that's going to interfere with our lifestyle. Our own grandkids can't do that in our park, let alone outside people. I don't know how that problem is solved. I hope you know that there was a sinkhole in our park. Units 15 and 16 are still on the ground. They're still paying taxes to the city, and they can't live in the homes because they've been red tagged. This is all in litigation, and it's gonna.
No, your red light's blinking.
At any rate, there's some other people that will speak to you about the topography of this whole area. It's a disaster.
Thank you. Mr. Fleshman, followed by Judy Erickson, if I got that right? No. Jack. Sorry about that. Yes, sir.
Okay, my name's Joe Frischman. I live in the mobile home park also. And the area, as Steve mentioned, is a geological disaster. I mean, like I have approached the Katie Melendez with geological information and so forth. I've given her CDs and thumb drives of water flow in it and so forth through the park and everything. When I moved in, if I'd have known the geological situation in this area, I wouldn't have bought. Seriously, because of what I found out geologically, and the reports in the area were dated 1982 is the most recent one that I could find. I do believe that if they build this project, it will affect the flow of surface water and so forth in the entire area, along with the new roadway and so forth, which I don't believe you can really tell how the water's going to flow because of the amount of rain we do and don't get here and so forth, and the times that we have to study it. Also, the fact that there's a tunnel back there that probably nobody knows about. It's a dewatering tunnel. It's 1,500 feet long that goes down, I think, what's the name of this? Skyhaven Lane and so forth and everything. There's been three landslides now. 2 previous ancient landslides and the one that we just had recently in March that was mentioned previously. So I just think that this project should not be done. I've also been to Oceanside City Council meetings in regards to this and the building of Emerald Ridge up there and so forth. That's a geological disaster. This whole thing's going to slide. The composition of the soils in this area are not good for building on in these types of situations, and I don't believe pilings are good enough because of the types of soil in the area, and I believe any piling, anything would slide around the pilings basically, and maybe the structures may still stand, but the ground will still slide. So basically that's about what I've got. So I hope you'll take it into consideration. I also would be willing to give you the information again in case it came up missing, because I also gave it to Amanda Rigby private previous to Katie Melendez's coming in. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Erickson, followed by Francis Dweller.
Can I correct a comment he made without accounting for my 3 minutes? About where the tunnel is? Could I make a correction to his comment about where the tunnel is?
You can do it after the meeting to staff, okay?
Okay, it's on the wrong street.
What's the name of the street?
North Sundown, it's in Pacifica. It's not on Skyhaven at all.
Okay.
Okay.
3 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. It was mentioned that this is going to, I don't have any heartburn over the project, one way or the other. My concerns are for traffic. And I live in Pacifica. This is where the tunnel's located. The tunnel doesn't affect this project area at all. It's because of a park down in our community that's up on Skyhaven. But it was mentioned that the sidewalks that are going to be put in will connect to other existing sidewalks. As far as I know, to the north, there is no sidewalk. It'll end. It's a weird kind of thing where that retail business area is. So I'm confused about what that sidewalk will look like. And I did wonder, is the sidewalk going to turn the corner and go up Skyhaven and tie into the sidewalk that exists about 100 feet up Skyhaven? Because that will be the south end of that development. Am I not allowed to ask a question and get an answer, or how does that work?
You ask the questions to me, and I'll get your answers.
Okay, well, will the new sidewalk turn up and go up Skyhaven and meet the sidewalk that?
Okay, we'll find out for you.
Oh, thank you very much. The traffic, the other question is, who owns the street Sunset? Is that in Oceanside or is it in Vista? I'm guessing it's in Oceanside rather than Vista. It's a weird boundary you have there between the two cities. But that traffic that comes down Sunset is a disaster. We need some kind of mitigation at that intersection of Skyhaven and Sunset, whether it's a three-way stop sign like further up around the corner, or whether it's a traffic light. It's an absolute disaster now, and it'll be worse when this project goes in. Are these drawings available online for people to be able to get to? That's another
The
question.
staff report and all of the attachments are on the city's website under the
Okay.
Planning Commission meeting, and
Okay,
you
great.
can reach them that way.
Okay, well, thank you. I think that is all I have.
Okay?
So,
How will I get those answers? Do they?
We're going to find out here after the public hearing. Hang on. All right. Francis Dweller, did I have that right? Followed by Stephanie Jackal.
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, my name is Francis Dumbler. I am president of the South Vista Communities, a neighborhood organization. The project plans 38 two-story townhomes on 4.3 acres with 37% as 2 and 63% as 3 bedrooms, which may now be 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms. So the potential number of dwellers is unacceptable in terms of density for the location of this particular project and the surrounding communities. And it's going to have a significant environmental impact on the surrounding areas, as has been described before. Looking at the whole area, it appears to us that the green areas for resident use are minimal, and they definitely need to be increased. There is no designated area for a dog walk or run, which is something that is very favorite with residents. The project also includes 110 on-site parking spaces, 76 garage, and 34 guest pages. Now, if we assume that most of the potential owners are going to be 2 individual working families, then the likelihood of having at least 2 and most likely 3 vehicles is quite high. And if the lofts are converted into bedrooms, it's even higher. So definitely the number of proposed parking slots is falling on the very short end. There is no note of EV public charges that should be included in the parking infrastructure. Lack of parking is a significant problem because Sunset and Skyhaven are 2-lane roads that have little or no street parking. So where are these cars going to go? The developer thinks that there is no substantial traffic effect identified. However, most of those residents are not going to be working in the neighborhood or close by. They are going to be commuting on the 78 and other major throughways to their places of work. That means that the 78 and the entry and exit points are going to be congested even more than what they are now. And taking the 12-hour average of traffic means nothing when we have extended rush hours, which are really the critical period. South Vista communities understand that developers have a fiduciary responsibility to profit from their property and investment. But such a goal should also improve the city of Vista as a whole and enhance the life of the residents, particularly those in the surrounding neighborhoods. Implementation of a corrective action, less density, more green space, increase.
Mr. Dumer? Yeah, the red light went off, so.
I urge the Commission to reconsider the applicants, have them reconsider the project and make the corrections necessary so that the community will benefit as well as the future residents.
Thank you. Stephanie Jackal. Commissioners, I don't know if you were on the commission. Yes, you were. Ms. Jackal used to sit up here with us, and she was welcomed me when I first joined. So, Stephanie, good to see you again. The floor is yours.
I am also a board member of South Vista Communities. We understand that housing is greatly needed in our area and our state, and this might be an excellent location for such a project. However, as currently presented, we do not believe that this project is the right one yet for this location. Dr. Dumler has already specified the concerns that South Vista Communities has about this project, and I would like to emphasize that too many housing units are crammed into these two plots of land. Not enough parking spaces, 76 residential spaces for 38 townhomes of 2 and 3 bedroom units. The geography of this area does not allow for much, if any, street parking. Will the residents have to be encroaching into the other neighborhoods to find parking? It is essential that the Vista Fire Department approve the access, ingress, and egress of both plots of land for safety. And this is a major concern. It is essential that a thorough traffic study deal with the expected congestion from the expected new residents, traffic flow, and speeding. This is a winding, undivided 2-lane road that goes uphill and downhill. Even now, you have to be cautious driving here. The green areas for residents are sparse, and the addition of a designated dog park would be pleasant and useful. On the other hand, the landscaping plan is very nice. I asked the Planning Commission to request the developer reevaluate his project for the benefit of our community and the near neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. All right, that concludes my speaker slips. And I'm going to close the public hearing, and there'll be no more public comment. Everybody clear? Okay. The public hearing is closed, and I'll open it up to commissioner discussion. Well, while they're making up their minds, let me ask Mr. Winters a couple of questions. We heard about soils and geology. There was a geotechnic report required as part of the mitigated neg deck. Did it find any problems that can't be mitigated?
It did not, and a geotechnical report is one of the primary project submittal requirements when it first comes through the door for processing.
Okay.
That goes to our Land Development Engineering Division. We also use consultants with our engineering division who review the stormwater and water quality technical reports, infiltration, types of soil. They look at the geotechnical reports and the other studies, which make recommendations on the ground treatment that would take place prior to any construction as far as changing soil, grading, how deep they dig, and what measures they use to make sure that the buildings would have a stable foundation.
Okay. And gentleman that raised the geologic questions, those reports are available online. If you go to the Planning Commission agenda, the staff report, they're attached there. You can review those. The sidewalk connection, does it connect with the commercial project all the way around to Sky Haven under the proposal?
The sidewalk connects to the north where it comes down from the commercial plaza.
Okay.
In the area of the Buena Vista Creek Bridge.
Okay.
So from that point, the project would be responsible for connecting with that sidewalk south to the bisecting driveway and then past that. And what you have at the southern boundary of the city, it's actually along the project site, but then there's a small strip of property adjacent to Sky Haven Lane, which is within the city of Oceanside.
Okay.
The project is not responsible for development of the Oceanside property. The project does not go across the jurisdiction.
And if I remember correctly, the boundary of Vista and Oceanside goes up that strip on Sky Haven, and so everything up Sunset is actually in the county, right?
That's correct. Sunset from that point north is within the city of Vista, and from that point south, where someone mentioned a potential intersection or where the existing T is in the street, that's where it enters Oceanside.
Okay. Very good. The traffic study was prepared for the project, and it found no all the conditions could be mitigated with the additional turning pocket and turning lane between the two projects.
Local traffic assessment was prepared. I'm not sure if Dudek might want to comment on that, but essentially, when a project creates less than 500 average daily trips, it's exempt from being viewed as a project under CEQA analysis. The city still looks at level of service out of our own interest and operation of our intersections and potential congestion. Our city's traffic engineer reviewed the report that was prepared by LLG, agreed with their data, agreed with the conclusions, and did not see any issues with the traffic study or the project conditions.
Okay. And it would not impact our standards to unmitigatable level?
That's correct. They're not project mitigation measures, but as the applicant mentioned, they're voluntarily doing the roadway improvements to improve basically the frontage for the city of Vista and for their residents.
Okay, very good. I think that was all the questions that were raised during the public hearing. Commissioner Looney.
Thank you. A comment about the public response. We got several letters, which is encouraging because people are watching what's being proposed. Along that same line, 20 plus years ago, the state began to more heavily regulate what we can do and what we can't do within the city of Vista. We don't have the freedom to say yes or no to a project that we once used to have. And many of the issues that we're dealing with on this project, we don't have a choice because state law says they can do this and they can't do that. So I just wanted to let that be known. There's still issues that we can discuss and need to be resolved, but we don't have the freedom as a governing board to regulate projects like we used to a number of years ago. But again, I so appreciate the public response in letter form because it's greatly appreciated.
Commissioner Grimm.
Yeah, I like the elevations of the project. I think the buildings look good. I like the fact that there are more bedrooms because I think it brings in families, and we need more family housing. And Mr. Looney referenced the state. The state's constantly telling cities like Vista, we need more housing, we need more housing, we need more housing. So I think from that end, it's a good thing. I think the fact that the commercial area is going to go to residential, I think that's a big benefit for the neighbors. Boy, I'd much rather have this project than have a commercial project next to me. The bad news, I think, is, or the tougher part of this is, and some of you mentioned it tonight, is the parking. And it just seems like no matter what kind of multiple family development we get, there's always excess parking that goes out of the project. You look all over town and there's parking on the street. Some of that is laziness. It's easier for the guy to park on the street than go all the way around to his unit. But that's a small percentage. I just think these type of projects do create additional parking problems. And as someone mentioned, there's not that many places for people to park outside of the units. So that's, to me, that's the difficulty of the project. And, somebody mentioned putting a condition on the lofts. I'd be in favor of putting something in the CC&Rs that was very bold, saying that, these are not to be converted. I'm a little bit, somebody mentioned requiring additional parking. I'm not sure I'm for that. I lived in a condo that had that kind of a loft, and obviously I had never had any intention of converting it. It was a great, addition to the living area. So I'm just wondering if it wouldn't be better just to leave that on future homeowners in that area, because I know if somebody would have done that next door to me and they all of a sudden had a different car show up and there's more parking and I didn't have enough parking, I would definitely have contacted the city. So that's kind of the question. Do we try to regulate it out right now, or do we try to regulate it by putting in additional wording into the CC&R? So that's something that we can talk about. But anyway, those are my issues. There's a lot to like about the project. I'm concerned about parking.
Commissioner Savage.
Yeah, in terms of the geological, obviously they're going to meet what's required. They have done a biofiltration basin on the north side of the property, so it looks like there's some consideration being done. I just wanted to bring that up, that there wasn't a whole lot of details. I would have obviously loved, I'm used to reading through a full plan set, so I'd have liked to see everything and feel more comfortable, but looks like there is some effort there. The one thing that is just killing me about this project, and I know the public is really concerned about the traffic, and my grandmother used to live up this street, so and I went to Tri-City Christian across the 78, so yeah, I know the topography is pretty extreme there, but there's 4-bedroom units. Am I wrong? Is there only 10 parking spaces on the south property there?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay.
10 open guest parking spaces.
Because I guess the idea is that these are two vehicle families that are moving in here, and with 2 vehicles in the garage, that's almost enough for visitors. And that isn't great, but it's solvable. But adult children, or if two couples are moving into one of these, that instantly produces 4 cars. And I just looked at, Sky Haven, Sunset, there's nowhere to park. It was brought up, though, that this isn't going to help the parking, but at least it might mitigate people entering the, what was the green? Well, your guys' community there that shares the driveway. That there was some discussion between the developer and the mobile home park about, and this is nothing that we can enforce, this is nothing that we can have any say really in, but it sounds like you guys were working on some kind of gate into that community that you guys could help them with. Is that, yeah, if you could just talk about where you guys are with that.
Gates create a whole new set of problems. One of the problems again
Hey,
with that entrance of ours is
The public hearing is closed, so we gotta get somebody to ask you a question and come up and speak. Well, let's hear from the applicant, and then I'll ask you about your position on the additional.
It did come up. We talked about it. The mobile home owners of the homes were advocates. Most of those showed up. The representative, the owner, the landlord there was in opposition of the project. And we've reached out to them, and there has been no feedback. So there's no opportunity to further those discussions. But there was mixed reviews on, I mean, do they want it? Do they need it? Do they want it? And so the discussions didn't go further than that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rutherford, could you let us know what the resident's position was?
a gate would be helpful in some regards, and in other regards, it'll be a problem. It's going to back traffic up even more, and that could be a big issue from a safety standpoint. A gate is not a fail-safe for people coming into our park. These are young families. They have a right to have places to be, and our park isn't the place to be. We've had issues with other residential areas and kids wanting to come in because we have some nice hills to skateboard on. And, you know, kids are kids, and we have our new manager here tonight, and I told her it'd be good if you came tonight so you could hear, because your job's gonna get 1,000,000 times harder if people park in our entrance, because there is parking in that wide entrance, and also with the gate, it could create bigger problems, people climbing over, et cetera.
Thank you. Welcome. All right. I have the same concerns that Commissioner Grimm does about parking and the potential for a fourth bedroom in the Plan 1 and being short of parking. I would point out to the commissioners in the conditions of approval that there is a requirement for and where'd it go? A parking master. Where are the planning commissions?
Chairman Rossler, it's
Yes.
condition 8 on page 26, page 957 of the 1005.
Yes, parking management plan shall be submitted and approved by the city planner prior to occupancy. That's going to be attached to the CCNRs. And so everyone who buys into this project will have to sign that when they close on their property, that they understand that there are restrictions in the CCNRs on parking. I'm going to be very interested to watch the maintenance. Your HOA is going to have to ensure that people don't store things in their garages and park both cars there. I think that's going to be a challenge. And I think there's a real concern about the lofts being turned into an additional bedroom. Commissioner Savage.
I just wanted to bring up one item. I'd just like to make sure that we get a recommendation. Sounds like they could do vinyl fence for the privacy screen in the back. I think one thing that I would like to recommend is to ensure that that is a block wall that's shared on the west.
Okay.
As well as the side walls for the drive coming into the mobile home park.
Was that adjacent to the mobile home park?
The entrance to the mobile home park, that those walls on the property line should also be masonry.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Grimm.
Yeah, if the rest of the commission is interested, I would kind of like to hear what the new manager has to say. I'm sure she has experience in this area.
Give us your name and address, if you would, please.
Thank you. My name is Jessica Bedrovic. I just took over management of Green Valley Mobile Home Park about 6 weeks ago. I'm frankly surprised that my ownership has not responded to efforts by the developer. I know that Greg O'Hagan, the managing director, did submit a letter, I believe more than one, expressing his concerns. And obviously, I'm an advocate for my residents, and I do see large concerns. At the same time, I do understand the city's position with wanting to allow development. There is a big homeless problem, and presumably, you know, like they said, with more eyes, that could be mitigated. But I would like to reopen the dialogue about the gate, because it sounds like we may be leaning towards approval, and a gate, as Mr. Harvey stated, does come with a lot of maintenance, a lot of expense. People can jump over the gate, people can, you know, jam it. Also, there's one entrance and one exit from our park. We have 157 homes with many disabled seniors. What if there's a car accident? What if there's anything? Where are we gonna go? So I would like earnestly request the developer maybe look at an alternate egress from our park in case traffic is so backed up, heaven forbid another emergency happen. We need to have somewhere to go. We need to have an evacuation route. That's vital, you know, to our survival, honestly. And please, if you would try again, I can provide you my information as far as to make sure that we do continue the conversation, make sure that the ill effects are lessened on our whole community, but especially our residents.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So where are we at?
So what's written, what are the conditions right now of approval, if it is approved?
I'm sorry, pull your mic closer to you. I mean,
So what were the comments that you had written down to be considered if this moves forward?
My comment? If I have the floor?
sure.
Yeah. My comment was to basically strengthen the wording in the CC&Rs, whether you put it in bold or whatever, and I believe there was a condition that the new owners would have to sign, that they understand and agree to that. I hadn't pushed it as far as to say that we require additional parking for the lofts. That wasn't part of my condition, although I'm open for discussion on that. Yeah, I'm concerned like the rest of you guys. I'm concerned about the parking. Like I said, there's a lot of really good things about the project too. That and it's taken out a commercial site that'll never be commercial, which is, I think, a good thing for that area. So.
Now, there are some benefits to the project.
Oh, yeah.
And I like the architecture, and site layout is okay.
Real quick, a question. Is there any parking allowed on Sunset with the new improvements there?
Currently, there is open street parking on the east side of Sunset Drive. I believe there's room for 12 or 14 cars approximately.
You said currently. What would happen afterwards? Would it be about the same?
Well, there's the bike.
With the road widening, inclusion of the two-way left turn lane, the bicycle lane, sidewalk improvements, and so on, it's going to create a pinch on a portion of that. It would probably reduce it to about 6 on-street parking spaces on that side of the street. That's based on the preliminary conceptual plan, so not super exact at this point. Chairman Rossler, if I could just follow up on a few of the comments. So far, what we have proposed is a condition that can be added stipulating that the upstairs loft for the floor 1 plan,
Yes.
floor plan 1, not be walled off or doored or separated from the interior space to be used as a bedroom, and that shall be included in the project CCNRs.
Yes.
Okay, and then a second condition was mentioned regarding the project's perimeter walls to be block, which of course would be decorative block as opposed to vinyl. That's typically what we see on projects. Vinyl become a maintenance issue if they are used for perimeter walls. Usually we see them in small garden areas for the condominium developments where they're more easily maintained by the residents.
Okay, very good. Does that address the commissioner's concern?
I would make it a requirement that Plan 1 be designated as a 4-bedroom. Because whoever's going to buy it is going to convert it to a bedroom.
Well, then there's short parking.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have the authority to allow them to be short parking under the permit process?
So either change that Plan 1 to a true 3-bedroom unit, or call it a 4-bedroom and adjust parking.
And ask for, and require
Required parking.
7 more parking spaces.
I think it's good that we're taking a commercial property, taking it into residential. I think the 10 spaces on that southern lot isn't the best design.
Agree.
And I think the people in the mobile home park are going to have a challenge of other people parking in those spaces in that link. But that's something that we can't govern. But I think it's something that they're going to have to develop with their management company is, you know.
So you'd be okay with a condition that said that we want Plan 1, the floor plan of Plan 1 modified so it's a 3-bedroom unit and
A 4-bedroom unit.
If we conditioned it so the loft was not convertible, they're going to have to remodify it like Plan 3 and 2 and 3, so that the loft is over the stairs, and we'll let them figure out the design. But to redesign it so it's a 2-bedroom with a loft, and the loft can't be converted.
Well, right now it's a 3-bedroom. Plan 1 is a 3-bedroom with a big potential space for bedroom number 4. So if they redesign
Plan 1's a 2-bedroom.
I'm looking at sheet 2 of 11. It says Plan 1.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, bedroom 1 and number 2. I'm sorry, correct. I was wrong.
Yeah.
So that family room needs to become a bedroom.
I agree that under the existing plan, it could very easily become a bedroom, and that it'd be a 3-bedroom unit. But I'm saying that we should allow them to redesign the second floor so it's only a 2-bedroom, and the family room is open on 3 sides, like the other plans are. Do you have a solution for us?
We propose just to make a dual master primary upstairs. So the 2-bedroom, bedroom 2 and the family room would become a primary, and bedroom 1 would be a primary. So it would just be dual primary. That would be a great unit.
I don't have a problem with that. I don't want to see the potential of any additional bedroom, because that's going to trigger the parking.
We're fine with dual primary.
Okay.
Thank you.
A dual primary it gives me heartburn because there could be 4 adults and 4 cars generated by that. But
And that's okay. It's just that with the potential of 3 bedrooms.
yes. All right. Okay. Let's propose a condition that Plan 1 become a dual master, a 2-bedroom dual master. Is that that made everybody?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Winters, do you have that? All right. Okay, would someone like to make a motion? Commissioner Grimm?
I would move staff recommendation with the addition of the conditions, and Mr. Winters can help me out here. One indicating that in the two-bedroom situation, they would go to dual primaries rather than lofts, something to that effect. And then I'm missing the other condition.
One that the perimeter walls would be a decorative block construction, not vinyl fencing. And also the third added condition would be stipulating, well, I guess that one's eliminated. So
The one about the CC&Rs.
going back to the bedrooms, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay, are we good? We've got a motion. Do we have a second? Oh, we didn't get a second. Commissioner Savage?
I'll second it.
All right. It's been moved, and remember, this is a general plan amendment, so we need all four votes. Please cast your vote. And the motion passes unanimously 4-0. Yes, this was a recommendation that's going on to the city council. So, do we need a 5-minute break? Yes, we'll take a 5-minute break and reconvene shortly.
I was also going to remind you about the student commissioner.
Oh,
I forgot.
I wrote it down.
I did too, but I forgot.
Gee.
I know. It's just like, I was almost gonna say something.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Rick Rossler. I'm Daphne. Daphne, nice to meet you. And Julia. Welcome. And where do you go to school? RBD. Okay. Classmates bailed on you.
Yeah, I know, I saw a whole pack.
Okay, well, you guys are stuck behind this thing, and I'm up here, and I can't really see you all that well. So if you have a comment when we're going through our commission discussion, raise your hand, and I'll call on you. Okay? But I have, this thing blocks my view, and I forget to call on the student commission. So anyway, if you have any questions about what's going on and what's happening here, this was a very big project. It's complicated, there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of information. Staff is working staff to read everything. So anyway, raise your hand, let me know. And if you have any questions, let us know on that also. Okay? Welcome.
friends with David, and like I've noticed since like my freshman year, because he came to like one of our school function events because his friends were there, and I'm like close friends with him, and then we've been friends ever since. I was wondering if you knew him. I know him, but he definitely doesn't know who I am. Like, yeah. I asked him, he's like, I don't know. Yeah, no, he definitely doesn't know. I'm like, bro, come on. Yeah. You follow on Instagram, you don't know. I don't like. That's the thing though. Like, Jessica, who's I know from other meetings. You know, I know Liv from Mission. I know Liv Smith. Yes. Yeah. I know. Oh, from Hunger. Yeah. You know. You know Annie, Molly McGuire. Yeah. I've seen most of these Mission movies. I just don't know. Sarmiento. Who's her watch? Is she like she's sister? Oh no. She plays volleyball. Her boyfriend's name's like Peter. I know. Who else do I know? I think that's the. Do you know? I know Reese. Oh no, I don't know. I know Reese Gold. Oh, Reese Gold. Oh my gosh, yes, Reese. Oh my god, wait. How close do you? Like, yeah. Like, wait, okay, like she knows who I am. Okay, let me ask her tomorrow because we literally sit by each other in English. No way. For spirits, I would just ask her. No, yeah, we run together. Like, oh my god, wait, I'm gonna ask her. No, yeah, she's really cool. I love it. Do you know she like got hit by a kid? No, during the race. Yeah. I was like, she came in the cab, and I was when the cab's like a sling. I'm like, girl, what happened? I saw their band pictures because she's in that one. Yeah, the 500 meters. Yeah, so then the doggy being and those are from wait, who's the guitar? Wait, hold on. There's this one who's like kind of cute. Oh my gosh, no. Hold on, let me look at this. Let me look at this Stevie. You know Stevie? The monkey? Yeah. Oh, I know Malik too. He works at Starbucks. Hey, Kira. Stop, Malik. I've known that he's been bestie since like freshman year. Wait, I'm gonna ask him tomorrow because I haven't tried. I literally have him for math and I have him for AP Science. I'm not kidding. It's so funny. I'm like all my close friends. But where is he? I know, it's just so random. I was like, dude, like, well, I feel like everyone knows each other because I went to private school, so I don't really know like everybody. So like, I feel like everyone knows each other, like Dublin Vista or maybe or El Camino, like because of middle school. No, it's not Vista. It's a different. Who's the other guy? Here, oh wait, hold on. It's not this guy. It's the other one. Oh, it's the other one. You just this one. Yep. He does cross country. Oh. Yeah, this dude. Yes. Is he bad? Okay. Oh wait, no, not bad. Oh, he's senior. Oh. Really? I swear every. No, I have. I've like every older guy. Like, Antonio is not bad. Oh, that's Reese. That's so weird. Oh, don't worry, I am too. I don't know, like, he actually has like I was just playing. No, yeah. Like, he just like does not have any emotions. Oh, she was right. You could change it. I do, but he's already in college. Like I met him in my junior year. And he was a senior. You're senior? Mm-hmm. I'm a senior. I thought you were junior. I know, I don't put my class on my bio. So I was like, I thought. Yeah, I know. Why did I think you were junior? I think it's because you followed a lot of my friends. That's what I thought. So. Yeah, probably. Oh, I didn't know. I don't know. I know. I saw. We had a lot of mutuals. That's why I was like, when I was like DM me, I wasn't even scared because it's like okay. Scared you were gonna reply to me. No, I'm not. I was trying to find you for like the longest time. I was trying to find. Like I think it was like the first email that I was trying to find you. I was like, oh my god. I was like, I don't know how I found you. I just found you. I just like clicked around your person. Right. I'm like, should I go somewhere Vista? Like Vista. Right. If I have a lot of mutuals, then I would like. I know. Like you didn't look like a bar. Like weird. So I was like, okay. Like oh my god. Like. No, because like you know how some people like yeah like especially because you know I was a private account, so I'm like I definitely have connections. But yeah, no, I did have a few friends like that's why.
So as soon as Ms. Chow is ready, we'll get underway here, so. All right, we're back in session, and the next item on our agenda is an early design review for the Santa Fe development. Early design reviews are not public hearings, but we will take public testimony. Basically, this is an opportunity for the applicant to come to the commission and show us his ideas for a project and to get early feedback from the commission on a project. So having said that, Ms. Chow?
Good evening, Chairman Rossler, Planning Commissioners, Patsy Chow, Acting Director, Community Development, City Planner. I am not Michael Ressler. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, he is out ill, so I'm here on his behalf to present this early design review project at 1570 North Santa Fe Avenue. The applicant is here. There's no formal presentation, so I will go through this presentation, and the applicant is here available for any questions you may have regarding this EDR. So just to put in perspective, the EDR is providing an opportunity for the Planning Commission to basically have an initial discussion on this preliminary project concept and providing comments to the project applicant. And the proposal, again, has not been fully routed or fully reviewed by city staff. But basically, we looked at it in terms of planning, zoning, compliance. And the applicant is here, like I said, to answer any specific questions that the commission may have about the design, what the thought process in terms of how the project has come about so far. There's no need for a formal vote or action on this particular EDR item. So the preliminary proposal is for development of 33 apartment units. This is a 0.53 acre site, and on the west side of North Santa Fe between Weston Circle and Champa Street. The site it is currently developed, there is a single family home there. The proposed is a 4-story apartment building, and there will be associated site improvements, parking, landscaping, and open space amenities. For this particular project, there's a request for density bonus at 50% pursuant to state law. The maximum allowable density as the mixed-use zone allows at 40 dwelling units per acre would equate to 21.2, and that would be rounded up, so it would be 22 units. The proposed density with the 50% density bonus would give a total of 33 units, and that would be at the 62 dwelling units per acre. The allocation of the 15% as far as very low-income households prior to the grant of the density bonus would equate to 4 dwelling units that would be designated affordable as very low, and that would be the households that are earning 50% of the area median income for family or household of 4. The income is at $60,600. In the scenario of density bonus, they would be qualified for 3 concessions, basically providing some relief from city's development standards in order to be able to provide affordable housing. So they would also be able to follow the parking requirements as it's allowed per state, and the city has at that point, with the density bonus, very limited discretion as far as the project density and the concessions that are granted to the project. So this is a depiction of the project location, as I mentioned before, south of Weston Circle, west of North Santa Fe. It's identified in red, outlined there, and it's surrounded by apartments to the north, single-family residential to the south, and across the street, multifamily commercial uses. The general plan is mixed use at 40 dwelling units per acre. The zoning is mixed use with a North Santa Fe overlay district, and again at 40 dwelling units per acre. Couple of pictures of the site looking southeast at the project site, and then another one looking northwest at the project site. So in terms of the project, it would require, once it comes formally through to us for review, it would require a site development plan, and again, being in the mixed-use zone, the total of 33 units, apartments, 4 to be allocated for very low-income households at 50% of the area median income. The setbacks are at 14 feet 4 inches on the front, 66 on the rear, 4 feet on the side. That actually is encroaching into the setback, so potentially that would be one of the concessions that would be allowed under the state density bonus law. The 24 would be 1-bedroom units, and 9 would be studio units. And again, the proposed density is 62 dwelling units per acre, where 40 is allowed per general plan. The height is at 4 stories, approximately 59 feet 7 inches. Maximum would be what's proposed. The residential parking actually would be calling 42 spaces required per the MU40 zone. The 33 spaces provided, again, per the state density bonus ratio, parking ratio, it allows it at 1. So that would be only, the requirement would be at 33 spaces total instead of the 42. And when you have 25 or more units as part of the project, you are required to provide 2 recreation amenities. There are 2 common decks, a co-working space, and a bicycle storage that's being proposed right now to meet the requirement for recreational space and amenities. Just a depiction of the conceptual site plan showing the 1 entrance off of North Santa Fe. And I believe the driveway may also be under the required 24-foot wide. That could possibly end up being another concession of this project. Conceptual floor plans are shown here as far as the first floor up on the upper left-hand corner. Below that, the second floor. And then you have the roof plan with the typical first floor identified on this slide. The architecture identifies on this the material sample board, different types of corrugated metal used as far as the stucco and the different colors there, and guardrails, galvanized storefront windows, etc., depicted on the slide so far identify for the architectural theme for the project. So there's perspectives of the actual project, different elevations, identifying the use of the different materials, and the roof line and the offsetting planes, etc., that are so far part of the concept. A few more perspectives of the project, different angles. And so again, the staff request here is for the Planning Commission to provide direction to the applicant as related to the proposed design of the project. Again, no formal vote action is sought tonight on this item, and we're here available for any questions. Staff is available, and the applicant as well in the audience. Thank you very much.
So the applicant doesn't have a presentation?
They do not.
Okay, very good. Commissioners, what we normally do in the EDRs is first talk about the site plan and the layout. Then we talk about the floor plans and then architecture and then amenities. So any comments on the site plan for this project? Commissioner Savage.
I never know when to talk about trash. So it's my first, it's site, kind of, because it's inside the building. So the applicant, I'd be very curious to see how they're going to be handling the trash. Looks like they're going to have to wheel out the trash to the street or maybe to the driveway. I don't know if we could ask the applicant, but I don't know if you guys have contacted EDCO for a plan. I know that would definitely be something we'd like to see before the actual hearing, but.
Name for the record.
Sure. My name's Colin Lowry. I'm the architect.
Okay.
No, we have not contacted EDCO yet. And yeah, you're correct. It's within the building, so we would have to wheel out the trash bins on trash day. But that allows us to give them a trash chute as opposed to tenants dragging their trash to the trash room. So I guess it's a trade-off, you know.
Okay.
Would there be any way to, I mean, that seems to be the way you guys are going, but would there be any way to organize the site in such a way that it wouldn't be inside, it would be directly accessed by EDCO?
The challenge there is there's only one street access, and that's on North Santa Fe. So essentially, we would be putting the trash in the front yard. Yeah. So I'm not sure. I mean, maybe we could put it closer, you know, where the utility rooms are, but then we wouldn't be able to do the trash chute either. So, I mean, we can look at ideas on how to, you know, make that a better situation, but I don't think you want the trash in the front yard.
No,
either.
this might not be an issue if EDCO, you know, is standardized this. If it's not going to become a traffic issue, sure. The truck definitely can't go into your guys's. They can only access your driveway. Once the building starts, obviously it's too short for their truck. So if the EDCO plan works out, that'd just be something that I would be interested in when we're actually doing the hearing, is making sure that there's there's a plan and it's all going to work without impeding traffic or causing a problem, so.
Okay. Commissioner Looney?
Yeah, same type of thing. You're not going to want to put those dumpsters in the front yard on trash day. I think it's going to be very important to talk to the fire department. How are they going to fight a fire? Because they can't get under the building, they can't get around the building other than the 4-foot side yards. And you may have a challenge with hose poles. Those things deal with safety and they need to be addressed. So circulation, vehicle circulation, fire department, and then services, I think, just need to be thought through a little bit better.
Commissioner Grimm?
Yeah, you know, obviously it's acceptable under the zoning. It's just, I think it's going to be tough for some of the mobile homes located right behind it. It's a fairly tall building compared to, you know, a single height mobile home. So other than that, that was my only comment. I'm not proposing to do anything about it, but it's just, you know, it's going to be kind of a tough go for some of those people that live right behind it.
So I love it when I don't have to make any comments because my fellow commissioners have already checked off the things that I'm concerned about, EDCO, fire. On the entrance, are you proposing a normal curb cut there for the driveway entrance?
Yes.
Let's put it this way. I would recommend that you do an alley return. So there's an alley return, so there's a curb radius that comes into the project, so people don't have to slow down to get in and speed up to get out. I've seen several people bottom out on sidewalks as they're trying to get in and out, and it slows traffic down on the street. So we'd recommend an alley return on that. Trying to fire access. Are you going to be doing any improvements on Watson Way or Watson Circle?
That's a private drive. That's not a public way.
Okay.
That's part of it's the access to the apartment complex to the northwest.
Okay. Super. Any other comments on the site plan? Okay. How about the floor plans? For me, I want to see the square footage of the units. It looked like some of your one-bedrooms were smaller than the studios, and so.
Sorry, I can respond to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So I'd like to see that information.
I mean, just for your reference, it's the studios are between 450 and 560, and the one bedrooms are between 565 and 670.
Okay. All right. I like the fact that you've shown a floor plan or a layout, a furniture layout for the units. That's helpful in analyzing how the units are going to work. Tell me about the co-work space. What do you envision there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think because it's primarily zeros and one bedrooms, it'd be nice for the tenants to have a space to go outside of their unit in case they want to get away from you know, their space, especially if they're work from home type people. And so the space itself would probably have, as it's laid out now, has a large conference table and a couple of booths to sit in.
Yeah.
There's also a small deck and a kitchenette as well, just to make it usable.
Very good.
Yeah.
Any other comments, Commissioner Savage?
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't do the count, but the lockers, is there a locker for each resident?
Yeah, I believe we provided enough for each unit.
Okay, yeah, that would be a recommendation of mine. You guys are dedicating space for lockers, so obviously per unit would be great. And then on the roof deck, we can do roof deck now?
Sure.
Is that part of our section?
Yeah. You can do the roof deck.
And the roof deck will have the trash chute as well, correct?
Yeah, I believe it does.
Okay, that would be a recommendation I would just confirm. That's going to be a really cool, usable space. I think it's one of the highlights of your guys' project. And definitely if I was looking for an apartment, that would be the thing that drew me here. So I think you're going to have a lot of use up there. So just making sure that that connects.
Okay, how about the architecture? Any comments on the architecture? I thought it was really unique. I like the offsets you've done. I think you have complied with our objective standards in our housing element for what we're looking for in a project. So it'll be interesting, yeah. So any other comments on the architecture? Commissioner Savage?
I know things change. I would highly recommend these finishes. You guys have done a good job here, keeping it varied. I wouldn't want to see, something go away here, especially with the different stucco colors. Awesome use of space. You guys made sure it was in depth. Obviously, you know this. You planned it all out, but I've seen a couple projects come to EDR, and then we get to the actual, design, and some of that has gone away. So just want to encourage you to keep it all.
Sure, thank you.
All right, and then amenities. Any comments on the amenities? You have not provided us with a landscaping plan, so we kind of reserve judgment, and we will feel free to comment on your landscaping plan when you bring it in. So just be aware of that. Commissioner Savage?
Yeah, I mean, the front yard space that you guys have, or the building overhang, if there's somewhere that you guys could have some kind of activity space out there, and this isn't really ideal for kids, that's right by the street. Obviously you have the roof, and maybe this project doesn't really facilitate a tot lot or something like that, but maybe some benches, something like that, always goes a long way for the community.
Sure. Yeah, there's a small dog run in the northwest corner. But yeah, it's because of the amount of parking, there's limited landscaping area, but we do have 2 roof decks, and we'll try to do the best we can with what we have. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you need to pay more attention to your amenities. There should be a bit more facilities or active uses in the two deck areas. So, any other final questions or comments?
Do you guys have plans for what's the landscaping going to look like in the front of this building? Is it all going to be kind of low water usage, kind of short, or is there trees planned?
No, I mean, personally, I think trees would be a good idea, but we don't have the landscape plan yet, so that's to be determined.
I would encourage trees, not for the elevation looks, but just it helps with the city, especially on the sidewalk. It improves shade. Obviously, it's good for the environment, reduces the amount of heat that bounces back. So I would encourage you guys to put some trees out there in the front, but obviously it's not super needed elsewhere.
Okay. Any questions from you of us about our comments?
No, I guess this being my first time submitting to a project to Vista, what's the next step? Do you recommend us going to the full hearing?
You talk to Ms. Chow, see if your project's ready, if you've gone to the fire department and EDCO and solved those 2 issues for us, and they're on board, then you should be able to submit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is another EDR, the Vista Apartments. Mr. Winters.
Thank you, Chairman Rossler. This is a proposal by the applicant, Atabak Youssef, And this is also the second time that the Planning Commission has taken a look at this early design review item. The project request is a preliminary proposal to construct 13 apartment units on 1.37 acres. It is a vacant site located at 1877 East Vista Way. Patsy covered earlier the purpose of the EDR, but basically to give the Planning Commission a preliminary look at the project. Residents are notified within 500 feet and welcome to submit comments. We did receive a few emails regarding this project that were forwarded to the Planning Commission. The Commission's comments are advisory at this stage, and the applicant has not yet made formal submittal to the city. On April 18th of this year, the Planning Commission held a first look of this project. At the conclusion of the meeting, a number of comments were provided to the applicant. He has since then made some revisions to the plan and returns tonight to show us what's been changed. The project site is located at the northeast corner of East Vista Way and Lark Hill Drive, which is a private driveway access that goes east from East Vista Way. The site topography slopes downward from the east towards the west with an elevation change of approximately 35 feet. Development of the site would include street frontage improvements along East Vista Way, on-site resident and guest parking, common and private open space areas to comply with the RM zoning, and 15% minimum landscaping. This is an aerial image showing the adjacent land uses and the vacant project site. There is a 51-unit condominium project proposed west across East Vista Way that should be coming up at some point. Fire station number 3 to the northwest, Elks Lodge to the north, and existing single-family residences towards the east. There's an office building immediately to the south on the other side of the private drive. The existing general plan density or designation for the property is medium-density residential, which allows up to 10 dwelling units per acre. The zoning is RM10, which is consistent with the general plan. This is a view of the project site. The Commission might remember this slide from the first presentation showing the grade as it ascends upwards towards the rear of the property. That's Lark Hill Drive in the lower image to the right. The project is proposing 13 apartments and 6 buildings. All 3-bedroom units are proposed, ranging from 1,290 to 2,661 square feet. 2-car enclosed garages are included for each unit. 2 of the units do include 3-car garages. The proposed density is 9.5 dwelling units an acre, which would comply with the 10 dwellings an acre that's allowable. The height of the structures are 2 stories, 26 feet, 8 inches. Maximum allowed in the zone is 35 feet. For parking, there's 41 total, consisting of 28 garage spaces and 13 guest spaces, where 39 are required by the zoning ordinance. Open space amenities, there's 5,268 square feet of common open space provided, where 4,875 square feet are required. Each unit features a private balcony ranging from 132 to 224 square feet. Each unit features private ground level open space ranging from 300 to 560 square feet. Outdoor barbecue areas are centrally located near units 2, 7, and 8, as will be shown in a subsequent slide. And common landscape areas with bench seating and tables are located in the central area of the project site. The applicant prepared a number of perspective views that were provided in the full-size plans to the Commission to show the project site from various angles, including the landscape areas, the common open space areas generally located in the middle of the buildings. As you look laterally across the site here, there would be 2 project entrances connected to the private driveway on what would be the south side of the project to Lark Hill Drive. This slide shows all of the landscape and open space areas. The units include their private patio areas to the rear of the units that are shown with the umbrella shade structure. Common open space areas, as I mentioned, are generally located towards the street frontage as far as landscaping and open space, as well as the areas designed for seating, I guess you might call them nooks, between the buildings. And there are some open space areas towards the rear of the property. The project proposes 2 fourplex buildings, which is unit type A. There's 4 units. Unit type B, 4 units. These range from 1,600 to 1,900 square feet. There's 1 duplex building, which are the largest units on the property, located towards the rear on the right-hand side of the slide. Those are approximately 3,000 square feet. There's 3 single unit buildings, which are type C, and they're just under 1,300 square feet in size. These are the amenity areas that I mentioned that are small landscape areas with adjacent to barbecue areas, basically with seating and tables for passive use. This slide shows the prior architectural design at the top of the slide, as well as the revisions that were made in the elevation at the bottom of the slide. One of the comments that the commission gave previously was to render the building as it actually consisted, as these are attached units before they were shown as individual architecture. A few other modifications were made. One of the primary changes was to the roof line design. This slide also shows prior design at the upper right, and these are the black and white elevations for the fourplex buildings. This is unit type C, which are the single units that are standalone, prior design and as revised and proposed. And this is unit type D. One of the comments previously given was to break down the large 3-car garage door. And so that's one of the changes that's represented on this slide. The floor plans are shown on the next slides for units types A, B, C, and D. They'll be available for discussion with the applicant, and staff requests that the Planning Commission provide their comments regarding the proposed design. Thank you.
No presentation by the applicant?
No.
Okay. He's getting up. Come on.
Good afternoon. My name is Atabak Youssef Zadeh with Metropolis Architecture. Thank you for your help and work here. Thanks, Chris, for all the help. I'm here to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, very good. Hang on. Well, I'm sure there'll be some. Commissioners, comments on the site plan? Commissioner Savage?
This is somewhat site-related. It's about the street, Lark Hill Drive there. Looks like, now this might be a question for staff, but that's a private drive, so we don't really have any authority on enforcing paving of that road, correct?
I believe that's correct,
Yeah.
yes.
So there was some concern from citizens behind the property. I didn't know if you, if they had made those available to you, but we did receive some emails that they're concerned about construction traffic on Lark Hill Drive and the damage it might do. So I don't know if you've had any contact with the community yet about that, or if there's any plans.
Chris spoke to me about the problem that might arise because of the construction. And if there is any breakage or any problem with the road, we'll basically repair that and black over the road, so the neighbors would not complain about the condition of the road.
I really like a lot of the things you guys did. I know it's architectural, but the sides of the buildings, you guys did an amazing job changing that up. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Mr. Looney made some great comments last time, and we appreciate that. We went back to the drawing board and implement that. The owner is here. He's owned this property for the last 30 some odd years, and he does not plan to sell it. He wants to keep it in the family, so this is going to be one that's going to be keeping in this family. That's why we.
Yeah, and do you guys know where you're getting the utilities from? Are you coming from East Vista Way, or are you guys coming from Lark Hill?
I believe it comes from the Vista.
Okay.
I think it comes from the Vista. I think I'm going to have to bring that from Vista into the property.
Okay. And then the sight line as people are leaving this property, Chris, this one hasn't been obviously reviewed, right, for compliance, but they would need to make sure that they have some kind of clearance back so that when someone's leaving the driveways, they can see oncoming cars on Lark Hill. Is that correct? The walls have to stay under, like site walls have to stay under a certain elevation. I'm not really sure.
For a private drive, I don't necessarily know that the city would reviewing it. Generally, it is something we look at when a driveway is exiting on the public right of way. We're going to review the site plan for any proposed structures, monument signs, or anything that might obstruct view.
Okay. This seems better than last time for sure. You guys did a good job of pushing that back and making sure that it is a little more visible. That'd be something I'd consider while you guys are doing design. Just make sure that everyone's safe when they're leaving the driveways, that there's nothing obscuring their views. And I don't think you guys have. I haven't had a great time looking at it, but the landscaping that's at the edge of the C buildings there, just making sure that any walls or any fences right there don't obscure view. Just keep everybody from.
Okay, I'll review that to make sure that the view is right for the drive.
Yeah.
Return.
Okay. Any other comments on the site plan? Commissioner Looney?
Yeah, it's good to see some improvements. One of the comments that was made last time was to have a civil engineer do a grading plan. The grades still don't work. We've got a lot of drop in a very short amount of time, especially on the north buildings. But having an accurate grading plan is really going to help us, because what is seen on sheet A1 it doesn't work when we start looking at the elevations, the south elevations of the north buildings, because in some of the elevations we've got 4-foot drops, and then we've got 2-foot drops, but it doesn't match the site plan. So there needs to be some consistency between what the topography lines shown on the site plan, those need to be reflective on the exteriors.
I'll make sure the civil engineer does a precise grading plan to reflect the.
Yeah, because it doesn't work.
Okay,
right now.
all right, I'll go back and talk to the civil and try to get him to.
And then it was touched on earlier, but we've seen a project come through in the last few months where they didn't resolve the easements with another private road. So I would encourage you to do your due diligence to make sure you read what that easement on Lark Hill really states. Because of this one project, it caused a lot of legal problems. So just make sure you.
I believe we went back to the easements and we'll make sure that our line with the new property line would line up with the easement, but I'll make sure that the civil engineer.
And it wasn't so much the easement right of way, it was how the easement could be used.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. We actually gave all the easement to the public right of way, all up in the totality. I believe the total, I don't remember, but I think it's 20 feet we gave it back to the.
Well, the public right of way is on Vista Way, but yes. Lark Hill is a private drive.
Yeah, we did the same, but I'll make sure that
okay.
The civil.
It just it caused a lot of
legal
for this
issues.
other developer. Sure. I don't want you to go down that.
Thank
same
you.
path.
I'll make sure that I state that today.
My comment was somewhat similar on building A and B. Chris, could you go back to the front elevation of building A and B? the change in where the garages are, you're showing a small slope, and if I looked on the site plan, it's all asphalt. So there's going to be an asphalt, and
Okay.
there are better design solutions to
Okay,
that.
I'll go back to the civil and drill him a little bit more.
You've got 31 feet between buildings, so the width of that driveway, you could come out with a planter area with a retaining wall, but you and your architect, your engineer should come up with a better solution.
Okay. Well,
I can
think
see
maybe the retaining wall between the two might be a better, and the planners might be a better
and
solution.
some additional landscaping in
Okay.
there too. I could see that being a very interesting skateboard ramp of kids coming down in front of the garage doors.
Okay.
So, okay, any comments on their floor plans? Let me try and save you some money. Unless, Don, do we need the building cross-sections? Okay, all right.
It'd be helpful to have.
I stand corrected. I was going to try and save you some money. You gave us a whole bunch of information that I don't really need, but our architect, Commissioner Looney.
Is there a
will
problem with the
need.
section that I'm not aware of? Or?
Yeah. The cross-sections through the buildings themselves.
Okay.
So, never mind. Any questions, any comments on the floor plans?
There was an issue on garage door widths, but he took care of those and he made them 9 feet wide.
Right.
And he did provide building cross-sections.
I know.
Through
I
each
don't need
individual,
them. I
but
was-
not through a longitudinal section.
Okay.
And it's gonna solve a lot of problems for you.
Actually, I had my structural engineer honestly give me that section, but if there's any problem, I'll go back to him.
Yeah,
And then
front and back is good, but not
Okay.
longitudinally.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Lumi.
Comments on architecture? Commissioner Looney?
I think in some ways, you made some improvements. In some other ways, I kind of like the purity of the original. You've got some dormers on some of these new elevations, especially on the north buildings. I don't think they fit the vernacular of what you're trying to do. But I would have you study that because they're just like, they're too small. If you're going to make a dormer, make it significant. And then I still think you have some issues with the roof designs. Again, that ties back in with your floor levels and your grading. The stepping of the roofs, I still think you're going to have some challenges architecturally to make them look uniform. The front buildings on the south side look great. I think what you did on the roof plans, they work really well. I think there's still a little work to be
Well,
done
the
on
challenge here, obviously the steep grade on that side creates some challenges that.
Right. This site is basically a civil engineering challenge. Once you solve the civil engineering, then the architecture is going to be easy, and I know you can do that.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Okay.
Thanks.
Don, I was concerned about the Type C buildings, especially the one that's on the corner of East Vista Way and Lark Hill. Kind of concerned that the building walls are pretty flat, and there isn't any offsets, pop-outs, fenestration, and I wanted to know what's your opinion. And then also on Building A that faces onto East Vista Way, I think there should be some additional offsets.
Yeah, I agree, and that was one of the other things that we had mentioned in the previous review.
Okay.
Just get some architectural delineations and some fenestration that creates some shadow on the west elevation.
But some of the beauty about the Spanish style is actually some of its simplicity. It's not over exaggeration of some of these volumes. But I understand what you say. I think simplicity in the Spanish revival is the beauty of the buildings. That actually.
I would encourage you to go back and look at our design standards and our objective standards in the housing element. We discuss how that's all supposed to work. So I would encourage you to do that. So anyway.
And we're, on that one, we're discussing the west elevations on that one?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it doesn't have to be anything, complex, but maybe just, I don't know, popping out a small, rectangle right in the center there so that you have kind of a change in elevation. I don't know, something, but I see what you're saying, but you guys did a really good job elsewhere of kind of, adding some zhuzh, and that one wall does kind of fall short just with the, can we get that one up? That's the sheet A7. It's the single unit, which is that one. Yeah, just, this bottom left-hand side one.
Because these are the sides of the building. These are really don't face any of the public views at all. These are some of the side internal. Two buildings are against one another. So this is actually the facade that.
We're more concerned with the wall elevations that are facing Vista Way.
I see. Okay.
Okay, the ones that we see from the main street. We basically have a 18, 19-foot high wall that's flat.
Okay.
No architectural fenestration on it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that
hope I can articulate that.
That elevation does it on which unit is that? The one on the bottom left of the site. Which one?
The C,
Yeah, he doesn't have building numbers though.
type C.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the. Can you go to the site plan, Chris? I just want to make sure that we're all clear. Sorry. So the unit C at the bottom left-hand side, it looks like the garage door enters from the right-hand side. So that would make the elevation that we just looked at, that was pretty flat with just 3 windows, that puts it on the side of East Vista Way.
Okay.
That'd be for your guys' sake too, that'd be the primary view the public would have of this property.
Okay.
So, I think it enhances your guys' bid to find people to move into this property if you do something a little more.
Okay, I'll go back and
just with
articulate that
one.
elevation.
Yeah.
And if we're going, you had mentioned the Spanish architecture. Again, I'd like for you to come back and look at those dormers because the dormers aren't in keeping with that
Okay.
Spanish architecture.
Okay.
Okay, any comments on the landscaping? I thought they had some nice usable space in the back of of each unit, and a really good landscaping on the corner. Really good landscaping on the corner. That's really articulate. There's a significant amount of landscaping on the corner of East Vista Way and Larkspur, and I think that will enhance the project. And then along the frontage of Larkspur also. So I thought they were on the right track on the landscaping.
Just a couple things. Again, your plant palette looks good. I would have you consider maybe a species other than the bottle brush. It's very messy. Maybe you go with a strawberry tree or something like that, but the bottle brush has a lot of bees and it's a really dirty plant.
I see. Okay.
So just, again, the planting palette that you've got, again, most of it's good other than that. And then the planting layout, you've got a good start at the layout.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments on the project? No? Any questions of us about our comments tonight?
It's clear.
We good?
Yes.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. Ms. Chow, I meant to ask you in the last EDR, there's a project that has come through several times south of that project. What's the status?
We have not heard back on that project yet.
Okay.
So nothing has come to fruition yet.
Did we actually approve the project, or was it just all EDRs? I can't remember.
It went through a public hearing, so it did get a decision by the planning commission to move forward, but however, we have not seen submit of construction documents yet on that project.
Okay, all right, very good. Comments or reports from the rest of the commissioners? All right. Ms. Chow, your report?
So the Kent Show project is going to City Council next Tuesday night, October 24th. That's for the decision on that. As you recall, the general plan amendment, the zone change, and all the other actions associated with that. So that's next Tuesday night. We are looking to have a meeting on November 7th and or the 21st, but that's the week of Thanksgiving. So I do need to ask you a question while you were all here, and whether you were planning to not be here, because right now we're right on 4. I believe Commissioner De Jesus will be back on November 7th, and we have about 3 items, maybe 4, probably more like 3. But I would not like to have 2 meetings back to back if I could help it. And I'm sure you probably might appreciate not having 2 back to back if we don't have to. So I just wanted to hear from you whether you were planning to not be here in either of those 2 meetings.
The 7th or the?
7th and I believe is the 21st is the week of Thanksgiving.
I'll be traveling on the 7th, so I will not be here on the 7th.
Okay, that's 1 down. Anybody else on the 7th?
Planning on being here both days.
Planning on being here both dates. Okay. Commissioner Looney, Commissioner Savage, being here both dates? Okay. All right, that helps me because, thank you, because if Commissioner De Jesus will be here and Commissioner Hastings, if we can, we will try to just have a meeting on the 7th, so it will not affect that Thanksgiving week. But if there's only 1 item on the 7th, I may push everything to the 21st. Just as a matter of, to keep it, in 1 meeting, I think, instead of having 1 item meetings.
I'll have to check. I'm not sure if I'm going to be back. If I am, it might be on the 21st, and if I am, I'll be here, but if it's the 22nd, obviously I can't.
It's okay, yeah, we might have, I believe we might have a quorum at that point. It sounds like it, looks like it is, so thank you for letting me know that, I appreciate it. Other than that, we continue to be busy, and we have projects still in the pipe, and that's what we're hoping to bring on the 7th and the 21st. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Any other comments or questions?
What's happening with the park, the site of the old community church?
Oh, for the Park Avenue project, it's still in review mode with engineering, but I have not seen much movement on that since the demolition took place of that building.
Okay.
Anything else? If there's nothing else, we stand adjourned until November 7th.